Every year, MMO creators, myself included, make the same boring lists. Which MMOs can you play in 2023? Top 10 most exciting upcoming MMOs. Every year, we have the same lists with the same boring games. But what if I told you there were 3 highly promising MMOs duking it out behind the scenes in somewhat of an MMORPG nuclear race? These games are headed and funded by some of the largest names in gaming, and in their words, are working to provide a generational leap in the genre that will satisfy old fans and newcomers alike. One of these games, well, details are limited, may be no surprise to you, especially if you are the Giga Chad I know you are and have already hit that subscribe button. The other 2, though, may be a bit of a surprise actually. But before we start with the list, make sure you leave a comment down below letting me know which MMOs or even any games really you're the most excited for the future, and let's see if it ends up on the list. First off, and no stranger to this channel, is the Riot Games MMORPG set in the massive world of Runeterra. Potentially the furthest in development on this list, the Riot Games MMORPG was initially announced back in December of 2020. Funded and developed by Riot Games, it has been stated that the game itself has unlimited funding and that it won't be canceled from a lack of funds, but instead because the game is not fun. Based on job postings and Twitter leaks, we can speculate that the Riot MMO will feature cutting-edge action combat, PvE dungeons and raiding, competitive PvP, and will be available to be explored on numerous gaming devices. With its insanely stacked team of developers and designers, as well as its seemingly infinite bank account, I think the Riot MMO will more than likely be the top competitor to usher in the future of the MMORPG genre. Next up, we have the Believer Company. Now, this one is a little weird because it has received seed funding from Riot Games, the previous company on this list. The Believer Company was founded by industry veterans as well as multiple former Riot Games executives. Just this year, they secured $55 million in Series A financing to begin work building a world-class team to deliver the next-generation open-world game anchored by an original IP, stories where player choices matter, and gameplay systems that bring players together rather than pushing them apart. The Believer Company is led by former Riot Games Vice President Michael Chow and hosts a team that has worked across some of the most beloved multiplayer games, from League of Legends to Words with Friends and Plants vs. Zombies to Destiny. Very little is known about the game they are currently working on, but what I could find given their current job descriptions is that they are deep in development working on their flagship title that will boast a deep and immersive science fantasy universe, of which in the long term they plan to extend into comics, shorts, film, television, and even music. On their website, they state believers are unafraid to take risks in pursuit of the bright future our players deserve. Games that are more than just games, but worlds. Worlds they can play and share with the people they care about and build communities around. Worlds pillared by music, television, and sport, and brought to life by technology and techniques at the bleeding edge of our crafts. Personally, I'm really excited to see what the Believer Company whips up in the upcoming years, and I will be making much more content regarding their projects in the near future. Last on today's list, we have another almost Riot-related MMORPG project. As many of you may remember, back in March, Greg Street left his position as the VP and EP of the Riot Games MMORPG to instead pursue his own interests in gaming, as well as create his own new remote studio. While currently unnamed at the time of making this video, this fully remote studio has garnered a massive amount of support from the industry itself, as well as the player base of previous titles that Greg Street has worked on. Pulling from these previous games, Greg was able to get one of his old friends to step down from their 11 years of experience developing World of Warcraft to come join this endeavor. I'm of course talking about Brian Holinka. With Greg Street and Brian Holinka's experience working on MMOs together, this new studio shows a ton of promise. And given these two's connection in the MMO gaming industry, it will be really exciting to see who they hire to fill out their development roster in the next coming years. Through Greg Street's announcement of this project, he had this to say: "I'm excited to announce that I am starting my own remote studio. Our goal is to move fast and go big. Fortunately, I have found a great strategic partner aligned with this vision, and we are moving forward. And yes, it will be an MMO, or something very MMO-like. We're not ready to share the new studio's name game or game details yet. Rather, the purpose of this message is that we're still looking for a few elite folks to round out our adventuring party. We will hire less experienced devs later, and yes, some with no experience, but for now we're looking for leaders with serious industry experience. If you know me, I value trust, empathy, and open communication, and that applies to both the dev team itself and to the players. Most importantly, players will be the judge of whether we win or lose. Things will be quiet for a bit while the adventuring party gears up, but we do plan to share what we're working on early and often. We want to get you excited, hear your feedback, and give you the chance to catch our mistakes. This is the only way I personally feel I can make great games. While some of these statements may seem a little bit like jabs to his previous project, the Riot Games MMORPG, I think everything he did say here is just really exciting and definitely something I look forward to hearing more about in the future. Well,